G'day and welcome to Inforunners. I'm Execute, joined today by Locum Plays and Paul, aka the Astro Pub. How you boys doing?
You're good.
Good.
Thank you. We're doing all right.
Right, so we're going to be kicking off Crusader and Tumbril Day, but first I've got this recording that was sent to me, and I'd like Paul to address it publicly so he can address it and let us know. So I'm going to play it now, Paul, and you can tell us why you did this, and just tell us your thoughts when you were saying this.
Hey, do not tell anyone, but I just cannot hold it back anymore. I am so in love with the Redeemer. The lines and curves. I am so in love. Oh, and those big guns. Who cares about lore when you have guns this big? I cannot wait to serve drinks out of this thing with its mini bar fridge and know I am going to be so safe in this baby. Speaking of which, I am going to go get in game right now and just look at this ship. Redeemer, I love you.
I quit. If you're cloning my voice for AI, I'm quitting. You've thrown in your lot with the AI. I know this, X. I'll remember this when the machines rise up. You'll be hung for as a traitor. You are, you dirty hobo. You.
One feels that that's something that Paul would say 100% every day.
Yeah, I thought it was totally legit. Yeah.
I hate both of you.
Anyway, I thought that'd just be a bit of fun. There's like this whole resource of Paul talking, and I thouut, why not? I'll just try it out. So it goes. But there's a weird reverb in the background. But yeah,
there is.
Yeah.
It's because I have a like a little hum in my background usually that I can't quite get out because of my computers and like my microphone quality. But one of the things I will say is you do that, but I actually have I've thought about, I should say, doing that, of getting training an AI on my voice, and just so I could do like shorts with my voice and just like write a script out and be like, do the short for me, AI, the voice, and then like pop it out there so I don't have to like work on the shorts as much.
Well, like I think that's why the reverb was in it, because it was just a free trial one that I used. But obviously if you get the non-trial one, you can just clone your voice and type a script and it does it all for you. Kind of scary though.
It's getting pretty good.
Yeah,
it's getting pretty good.
All right, let's get on with the show before I get in trouble. We're on this one, I think. Yes, we are. All right, Paul, you're over with me today, so yeah, snuggle up. Right, A1 Spirit. We'll start with you, Loken. Tell us your thoughts on the A1 Spirit, and we can actually chuck all three spirits in here if you want, just to save a bit of time. But if you want,
chuck all three spirits.
But if you want to differentiate and pull them apart, I don't actually know. Yeah, they're not next to each other, so no. Yeah, we can't. All right, so we'll just go with the A1 first.
We go pretty quick on some of these. So.
It's no difficulty, no factor. So I've been using the A1 and C1 a lot recently since they both came out, and I've thoroughly enjoyed both those ships. I think the C1 is in a really competitive price bracket and category of ships. You know, that sort of freelancer cutlass area. You know, it's nice to see some actual genuine competition in that place. And you know, it does a similar role to both those ships at a similar price point, just a different visual style and slightly different stats. You know, it's very top trumps. You know, sort of like tit for tat trading blows. So it's no one of them stands out. It's a case of which one do you think is sexier? Which one do you enjoy more? You know?
Yeah, I think closest competitor would be the Freelancer Miss, and I know it's different, but that's the only kind of real combat-y one in that medium tier for the moment.
Yeah. If you're focusing specifically on the A1, then that's the closest competitor. And I mean, the Spirit's it's a fun ship to fly. All three of the variants, I'm sure there will be. I mean, obviously we've only got the C1 and A1 in game right now, but they've both been absolute dreams as far as I'm concerned. I've loved using them.
Paul, that alarming price right next to you, though. Yeah. I can't recommend
cheaper than the A2. It's cheaper than the A2, and it's one of those things where it's not really a versatile ship. It's just exactly what you need it to do, and like the honest to God difference between a size 5 and a size 10 bomb is not that much, and you have more options with the size 5. So if you're somebody who wants to bomb, you just need to drop them bombs, then I can see it being worth it. And I can definitely see it being having a spot for people, even at that price. Maybe you can get a CCU upgrade. It's a little cheaper than that. I don't know if you can get that, but generally speaking, I don't think it's a bad price. I think it's a high price for a medium ship, though. It's a very high price.
That's
for
what I was going to say. When you go into the combat ships, you kind of get that real narrow. You start to narrow and get a niche, and you're obviously not going to be able to do as much in it. Even as a C1, you're not going to do as much. You see, and that's the scary thing. It's getting closer to being, like double the price of its a base variant, which is kind of crazy. Well, was exactly what happened with the A2, isn't it? So yeah. Anything?
It'd be nicer if
go ahead.
It'd be nicer if the A1 was 175 rather than 200. I'd find that easier to swallow. But it's still better than the C2 versus the A2. The A2 is $750 freaking dollars. It's ridiculous. Which we'll get onto later, I'm sure.
We will, and I think again the real outcome of this will be determined with the in-game pricing, because again, much like the A2, it was like a designer versus a marketing person, and this reeks of a marketing person over a design person. Anyway. Right.
It's definitely a gimmick.
Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Yeah.
Hello.
This one's a miss for me, just really based on price and earn it in game. It's only 100 million more in game than an M2. And so it just again, that's kind of why we're aware of things like the A1 there. They're just not going to maximize in value. Do you guys think any different on that one, or is this a quick one we can jump past?
I think it's ludicrous that you have a ship that the A2 that's $750. Yes, they had the Nautilus, for example, 725. So much more ship for the money if you're really going to break it down like that. But as you say, in-game price, this thing is not that expensive to purchase. You can earn it in-game quite happily. So yeah,
it's one of those situations. It falls victim to CIG's most recent price change, where basically anything large and above has got to be over $500.
Yep.
And as a result, like the Arastra, I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being $600-700, because of what CIG likes to do with these large ships. So generally speaking, it's not worth the money comparative to the amount of time it would take you to earn it in game. And especially for its right out the box gameplay. It just doesn't have a lot of game. Its gameplay is go bomb something, and it's like, okay, you can carry big things too, but you can't carry as much as a C2 or an M2, and it's basically an M2 with bombs. It
is quite a good air to ground platform as well. It is studded with guns and big guns too, but still it's like.
But is that much different from like a Redeemer or a Valkyrie, which also have those big guns, similar guns? Like it's with less crew capacity and less size. Like it's one of those, like, is it worth the size and the bombs to have that option? I could see why people would use it, because like it is a versatile all-in-one platform. You don't have to have a C2, a Valkyrie, a Redeemer, and that's because it's 3 different ships. It's just one ship that can do all of the same thing. But
but not that price point. It's again, just get it in game.
I can't remember which ship it was, but I think it might be the Hammerhead. But don't quote me on this. But it's got the same amount of guns and power as that, but they're all down facing. The main problem with that is they all face in one direction. And just to put it in hindsight, just listen to what Paul was saying. It's the same price currently as a Polaris, and that thing is a capital ship. Right. Okay. And I know, and a Polaris is not out yet, right? But again, that's going to go up in $100. So again, why would you get this when you could invest for 12 months and get a ship that's twice the size?
It's $100 more expensive than a Perseus, right?
Yeah,
it's like $625.
75, but so you're very close. Yeah, 75.
Yeah. So say it's $75 more expensive than a Perseus, and a Perseus, if you're looking for guns. The Perseus has guns. Yeah. So
absolutely. And that's not that far away now. Less than 2 years, I'd say. So yeah. All right, moving on. We can bundle these two together. The Aries.
Yes.
Loken, you want to kick us off on that, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Aries for what it was intended for, which is this a capital ship or anti-capital ship fighter. It's very dedicated to that role, though. It's not particularly good outside of that role. That's specifically with the Ion as well, more so than the Inferno. The Inferno is of the two I find the more entertaining and fun to use.
Yep.
Mainly because the Ion's gone through so many revisions of that main cannon. It's just such a shadow of what it was before. So I don't know. They're in a really weird spot, and they're also quite expensive too. Yeah, $250 to $50 is a lot of money.
It'll come around again. I've always firmly believed that the Ion needs to have like a charge mechanic. You know the railgun, how it goes? It needs to be like that. So you have to charge it up and release it. It's a timing weapon. And I don't know, maybe that'll happen. But again, we don't have any real capitals for it to kill yet. other than
Yeah.
the Idris mission. And so it has to be balanced right now to into this light fighter meta. So as you said, it's in a terrible place. And for $10 more, you can get a Mercury Star Runner from the same manufacturer. It's just ridiculously overpriced. And this is a core example of why you don't buy fighters, because they are really overpriced, and combat as well, as you've seen in the last two ships.
Especially this is a niche fighter. Like, it is very niche. Like, because CIG will always make sure that it doesn't perform well against medium, light, and heavy fighters. It's supposed to be a punch up, not punch down.
Yeah.
The lighter fighters need or will be able to take it down. So because of that, there's not really a lot of reason to purchase this is for the price, unless you want to get it in game. Because again, you can get it in game for not that much of a price. I can look up the price right now, but I think it's about the same, comparable to something like not Hercules, like a Hurricane.
I can tell you it's nowhere near the price of the Mercury Star Runner from the last time I checked it. But what you're essentially describing there, Paul, is the inversing of the rock paper scissors, where this is actually weak to fighters in its own class. So it's actually weak to fighters, where most ships, like the medium ship kills the small kills the capital kills the large, and around it goes. This inverts that completely, and that's why it's in such a bad place right now, because it's just all small fighters mostly at the moment.
So like I've just looked up the Ion. The Ion is 2,859,000 AUEC.
Yeah,
that's like, I think that's like twice that of a Cutlass. Like, it's not that expensive. It's in comparison to like it.
Yeah, Hurricanes. I think the Hurricane's like $1 million. The Hawk's like $2 million. So it just puts on. It's a fighter, and fighters are cheap. I know, for example, the Redeemer. I know it's more expensive than this, but the Redeemer is $8 million. So that just shows you for slightly more money, it just basically is way more valuable than this, because interiors are worth more money in game. That's how it cookie crumbles. All right, let's move on.
It's for perspective, it's about the same price as in game as a Scorpius.
Yep. And that's the price is about the same. So yeah. C1 Spirit has now jumped to 125, as it's now released today, technically. So we went from 110 to 125. So it's actually jumped $15, which kind of surprised me. I was expecting 120. But I think this is where the Spirit is at. This is the Cutlass Black Freelancer base variant. And I think it's going to be really popular, but it does have drawbacks, believe it or not. And as every good ship design should, it's clearly the biggest medium ship type of thing in that lineup. But the cargo is really nice, and it's obviously going to appeal to a lot of people because of the gold pass. Paul,
it's also Crusader. This thing's going to eventually be able to have insane range compared to anything but maybe like a Freelancer, because it's Crusader, and Crusader makes those kind of ships. So I would 125 is not a bad price for a daily driver.
Yeah,
it is a high price for a daily driver, but like the difference between this and a Freelancer Max is $25-50, and the Freelancer Max only will get you twice the amount of cargo that the Spirit does, but there's just a lot of cargo. Like anybody who moves cargo can tell you, you either go big or you go very tiny, and this can go do a lot in a smaller frame. So it's not a bad option for the amount of money you're making with it. So
much like its bigger brother, it's designed for speed and running. So its defense is running. So yeah, Loken, your thoughts on the Spirit, please, man.
I mean, as I indicated earlier, it's right in that sort of very competitive price point. It is a little bit, as you say, more expensive than I expected, about $5 more. I thought it was going to be land around 120 myself, but from an in-game perspective, it's a very enjoyable ship to use. It's very easy to live with. It's got a decent cargo capacity. It's fast, maneuverable, and fun to fly. And at the end of the day, if you like the Crusader aesthetic, which a lot of people do, it's a very sleek, sexy-looking ship. You can't deny its looks. The department's pretty strong.
I think we'll see.
I'm going to plug something else while we're here, if you're okay.
Go nuts.
So I also did the lore on all of this Crusader Spirit series for my lore channel. So it actually has a pretty interesting background as well, because this ship was personally designed by the CEO of Crusader Industries herself, Kelly Kaplan. So, who hadn't designed a ship since the Genesis Starliner before this. So,
does it have anything to do with the shuttle that's at Horizon as well? Because it seems a lot like that.
It's based off of an old Seraphim Systems shuttle. The whole fuselage is based off of that of an old shuttle that then they added the wings to. So,
I think you'll both agree there'll be a lot of people potentially upgrading today from the Cutlass Black to this. I think that's what it was designed to do. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that a lot. All right, the C2. No, why are they not in order like they normally are? All right, so C2, we're going to do them all individually.
I think the reason why they're kind of, I bet you the E1 is next to the Genesis. They're grouped next to like their different counterparts. So.
Yeah,
and they're sort of
C1, C2, A1, A2. Yeah, you're right. Instead of their same series, which was way easy for us to put together. But yeah, I think this is the cargo variant, but I do not think this is where the Hercules series is at. The Hercules series for me really is around the M2. I think that's where it's at its strongest. But this is a very popular ship. I think it will fade as more and more ships come into the cargo lineup, but that's just my 2 cents. But what's your thoughts, Paul? Because I know you and I differ on this. We've argued about this one black and blue at the past, so...
I still think it's one of the only ships that can hold certain size of vehicles. So it's really a vehicle transport, but it's because it has the flexibility of being a vehicle transport and also a cargo transport. It has a little bit more of that utility. There are going to need to be larger ships that'll be able to carry this, but this is probably going to be the cheapest ship that you can buy to haul like the Nova, the Storm, the Atlas chassis. So like if you say want to start a base and you want to have that MCV attached, that's going to probably only be carryable by Hercules. So that's going to be almost certain. Like if you want to start a base, the cheapest ship you're going to be able to do to get the bang for your buck that you're not going out and buying a ship for is going to be a Hercules, and it's going to be cheaper. It is already cheaper than the Galaxy, right? Because Galaxy is more expensive than this.
Yeah.
So,
so Loken, do you actually no? The Galaxy's cheaper by $25. Loken, do you actually see?
Plus also the module.
Yeah,
because you have to buy the module for the Galaxy.
Same thing with the Caterpillar. They are all in that same thing. The Caterpillar, the Galaxy, and this are all kind of fighting in that same area. So I have a little problem with this, Loken, and I want to know if you agree with me or disagree with me. Its strength, as Paul said, is vehicles, but as soon as you go to normal cargo, there's no tractor beams, and there's only 2 crew. So loading this with cargo is going to be a pain in the butt all of a sudden. What's your thoughts on that compared to, say, something like the Caterpillar or that does have tractor beams?
It's a mission of tractor beams is a mistake in my opinion, especially as their market transport and cargo vehicle. That is a glaring omission, and I would hope retroactively it gets given tractor beams. I think that would make it a lot better of a prospect, especially as it's supposed to be this very low crew number sort of but high efficiency vehicle, if you get my meaning. I do love them, and I love their carrying capabilities, though. I like the versatile capabilities too in terms of carrying vehicles, as Paul was saying. I do find them great. What's up?
I'm pointing right at if you look right there, it's got that front gun. It's the C2. Why does it have a gun? Why isn't that just a tractor beam? It's placed in the perfect position to be able to swivel inside the cargo bay and swivel out of the cargo bay. Just replace that with a transport.
Or better yet, like enclosed weapons being a part of its design. Why can't it have tractor beams come at either side to load in? But again, I do actually think it's a part of its design. I think the emission is a part of its design. I think it's to show that it's tailored towards vehicles. Because again, if you're putting vehicles in it, you don't need tractor beams.
No.
So,
that's fair.
All right, moving on. Crick in my voice. The E1 Spirit, the last one we're waiting for. Something they've also changed to, just to bring this up, the Olympia skin that was the concierge skin for the ship that was linked to this ship is now available for all. A lot of people complained because they never ever told us that it was locked behind particular ships. So now they've just made it available to all of them. So now all the concierge skins now work on all ships and they're all readily available. So I just want to add that. But the E1 for me is like the Genesis Starliner, as you said, Paul, just in smaller form. Anything else you want to add to that?
It's going to be until we get our Drake luxury or the freelancer bus. It's probably going to be the cheapest luxury and or if you never heard about my freelancer bust idea.
No, that's a brilliant. I just see this big yellow freelancer bus skin. Just looks amazing.
You just
love that.
You just swap out the cargo bay for seats, just like row seats, like at like an airline, like
Mr. Shelley, are we there yet, Mr. Shelley? I could just see that. It's so fun.
It's federal yellow, baby. Just put in that federal yellow, and it's good, you know. But until that, this is going to be the cheapest transport. So like passenger transport. So that kind of gameplay, which obviously is not going to be in for a bit, though. CIG does seem to be speeding up a lot of development, especially around AI. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of next year, because they were almost going to put it in, like 2 years ago, and then they just kind of pulled back. So I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of next year we might see something like passenger transport be added to the game. So,
and this is the test bed for that. Loken, anything else you want to add to that? Because we can kind of go past this one, and you can do the next one.
Not really.
Yep, I'll let you do this.
I think that's pretty much covers it.
All right, you cover this one for us. The oldie but a goodie. Go for it, man.
Wow. I'm gonna be very interested to see what it ends up looking like, truth be told, because I know this is a very, very old concept, and the Crusader design language is now established. But I have a very big hope and very excited for the Genesis. I like the idea of passenger transport. I am a person who just likes to do everything in SC, so this to me is the apex of basically having a 747 in space, and I like that idea. I really do. I think it's gonna be very, very freaking cool. But I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon. That's for sure.
It had a lot of
modules,
Paul, doesn't it? Like they talked about modularity, like being able to take vehicles and troops and a whole bunch of stuff. You know more about this than me from the lore.
Well, the idea is that it's able to swap out. You'll be able to redesign the interior to fit for whatever you want to do. It was the original idea. So like an internal modularity where you could swap out for various forms. But I think that may eventually be turned into modularity where you have the standard version, the luxury version, the troop transport version, because there are troop transport versions of the Genesis. So or there's even one that's like racing where you can put like up to like a 350R in the thing.
Oh, so, I get you. I get you.
Yeah.
So if it actually ends up doing what they originally said with all the modularity and stuff, this thing's got to grow because of how old the concept is. So again, you could be investing in a long term. I think if you're even remotely interested in this, it's pick up a CCU and sit on it. And at $400,
it's going to get more expensive.
Yeah,
it's going to get more expensive because we have the E1 and this is the large version. They're going to need a small version, probably some size of medium between medium and large, which will probably be done by like RSI or something like that. Yeah. So like this is the endeavor of cargo of people movers.
You've also got like different classes as well, like first class, second class, or business class and economy, because like the E1 is economy, and this is you got the VIP ships.
Yeah, it's more like a private plane. It's like more like a private jet. The E1 is. Yeah, it's got those like little booths.
Yeah, executive is what they call it. But yeah. All right, Loken, tell us why this is where it's at for the Hercules. Well, this is where I think. I don't want to put my words in your mouth, but yeah, you tell us what you think.
I just I think it's the where this ship was originally designed to be. It's primarily first and foremost a heavy military transport that transports heavy vehicles in and out of a field of battle. It's got the troop compartment at the top that holds the crews of the vehicles that it's transporting. It's upgunned as well, quite nicely. And I tend to find it's still got a humongous amount of cargo capacity if you want to use the cargo ship. Quite as gargantuan as the C2, guarantee you, but it's still pretty freaking decent. And it's a sweet flyer as well. I love flying this thing.
I can't add any more to that. That's basically perfectly it. Yeah. Paul, do you want to add anything? Because everything he said is law based too, with like the M2 coming first.
It makes. I mean, it's where it's designed to be, and it's going to be that ship that you use for. Like you want to transport 3 tanks into a combat zone, you're going to want to use this. Like everything else is going to suck.
Right. Mercury Star Runner. This was a sweet darling. Now, my only problem with this is how much it grew. It was essentially a medium ship that turned into a large during its development, and I can't unsee the stilts of it. And I think it definitely will get it. Like it's going to get a gold pass at some point, but for me, as time's gone on, it lacks more and more. But again, $10 over in Aries, and you get a whole large ship. I don't know, maybe I'm hating it a bit much. But yeah, sorry, Logan.
No, it's fair. I like the Mercury. I do. I like what it's supposed to be. I just find it flawed as a design right now. You know, as you say, it grew. I find the tunnels underneath it surplus a requirement, and it's got wasted space. It's got its design layout inside needs to be adjusted.
Yeah.
So there's lots of niggly bits that need to be retouched up. But I'm sure once it gets its day in the sun and it gets its opportunity to have that pass by CIG, I'm sure it'll end up being an absolutely sweet ship. And for all intents and purposes, it is a sweet ship. It's a fun ship to use, and it's a good, solid, small scale multi crew ship. If you get my meaning.
Yeah, good daily driver for multi crew.
Yeah.
Paul, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Paul, do you think some of it comes from the fact that it was the first Crusader ship put in game, like it was the first in game Crusader? Do you think it's showing its age in that regard?
Yes. I mean, the problem, a lot of its problems comes from its original design, because its original design was so unique and different, and they just kind of went with rule of cool. And this is a little bit of my pet peeve with CIG, is that CIG often lets its ship designers go a little bit too much into the rule of cool and not enough into thinking about the application of the ship in game, or in terms of its you know, like because like they have this whole like stilts, as you say, like the little underslung area, which is like, that's cool, but what gameplay does it add?
Yeah.
Like oh, but it adds stealth gameplay, but you don't know what stealth gameplay is. So how do you know what stealth gameplay is when you add that in there? So it's that kind of thing. Like if you took out that little tunnel network system and you gave it like a second deck, or you gave it a little bit more space, you'd have, you know, escape systems and other things to it. It would make it a lot more
versatile,
a lot more versatile, and a lot more interesting. I still think it's a good ship because of its speed, its length, in terms of its distance that it can carry.
Yeah,
its cargo bay is huge.
If you're
It's
prepared,
good, but it's just
it is. It's very. If you're prepared to wait too, you are going to get a better ship. You know, like it's obviously only got one entrance, no second entrance. Like Logan said, all the components are in the back room, right near the entrance, where they have all those stilts there. Or vents, I call them stilts, but if they where the vents are, why don't they put the components in the vents? Why not utilize that space for double the gameplay? You know, things like that. So it's like you said, they just didn't think some things through, and I think on reflection, when they go back to it, they'll improve it. But they're doing that with every ship. So yeah. All right, so that's actually it for Crusader. We're on to Tumbril now. So Tumbril, obviously the big one today will be the Storm, but we'll get to that as we go along. Can we actually chuck all the Cyclones together? Because I think we can.
Oh, yes.
So let's do that.
We can chuck all the Cyclones together.
All right, Paul, you kick us off then, mate.
I love the Cyclone. Who can't like Star Citizen's version of the Warthog? It's fantastic, but it's not worth $55.
Yep.
It's not worth $80. It's not worth $75. It's not worth any of the price of the $65, or I think what is it, like $75? Yeah, $65.
I think none
of these.
The most expensive is the AA from memory. I could be wrong. Yeah, $80. So it's like $50 to $80 essentially. Yeah, $55 to $80.
Yeah, but in game, like give me 3 seconds and I'll tell you exactly what it costs in game.
Yeah, it's so ridiculously cheap. It's not funny. For me, real quick, Logan, I'll just while he's checking those prices, I think there's only two standout versions, the MT and the RN. Is there any others, or do you agree with me on that one? Or
no, I pretty much agree with you because, pretty much agree. Hard agree. The MT came out like later down the line as a new variant, kind of outclassed the AA and the other, the gunned variant, because it combined both into one platform. And then the race one's the race one, you know what I mean? So,
no, the RN's the scanning one, believe it or not. That's the one.
Sorry, the RN, my mistake.
The racing one, okay, I can see the racing one actually, because there are people that are.
The racing one's also valuable.
But the scanning one, I think, is going to be real. Like it's a recon vehicle. Like you think about being out there in this speedy little thing, and it's finding shit for you to shoot, and all it's doing is zipping past, dodging all the bullets. That is what that thing's going to be doing. And I can see it's built for that. Anyway, so go ahead, Paul.
To give you the prices, they're all the same price. They are 28,086 UEC.
You're kidding? Seriously?
No, it's a joke.
So we can run
28K.
Yeah, that's nothing. To put that in perspective for people, the Aurora is
compared to $75.
The Aurora is, the Aurora is 200 and I think it's 280 in game.
Yeah,
and it costs $45 This is why we don't recommend vehicles. So yeah, just avoid
we don't land ground vehicles. Like I'm almost certain that the Ranger is going to be like dirt cheap. I still don't care. I want my Ranger when it comes out, and I want to use that as a carrot and be like, CIG, make more of these things. I want more bikes, you know. But at the same time, like none of these vehicles are worth the money you're paying for. Like you like 28K. As anybody who's played the game is like less than a day, less than 4 hours of gameplay, you can earn that money. Like one Junktown event, one like big event, and you've earned that in like twice.
If you are buying vehicles, you are literally a supporter of the game, right? But based on value,
it's just a sporting.
Yeah, we can't recommend those. All right, Mr. Loken, can you please tell me about the Nova?
Novas. I do like them. I really do. Novas, obviously the heavy, well, sort of, I guess we call it main battle tank. They are interesting so much as they've just recently had some handling improvements to them, so they do handle better than they used to, and I do find that they will have their opportunity to be fun and usable and useful in the future. Right now, though, there's not really much for them to actually do, and at $120, it is ridiculously expensive because, once again, buy it in game, it's a lot cheaper, and you can still have
it's $500,000.
And if you want to
have 546K. So,
and if you want to experience them, they now have the Arena Commander mode with the tanks, so you don't even have to buy them to play it. And that's actually a highlight of them because, again, like Loken said, you can't, to get them together, you've got to get them in a Hercules or something like that to get them to a spot and then do the event and people get lost. Or you can just dump in an Arena Commander and you've got 8 people and off you go. So that's where it's at. Yeah. All right. I'll let Paul take these ones. 3 Rangers. No, or is there 4? No, there's 3.
Buy them because they're $35, and I want CIG to make more Rangers because the Ranger, who doesn't like the Akira bike? All right, it's cool. This is rule of cool done good. CIG, like, I don't care what the lore is behind the Rangers, is why they exist. It makes sense. They're bikes. You would have bikes because people like bikes. People will drive bikes, have been driving bikes for 100 years, and they'll continue to drive bikes 100 years from now. Doesn't matter if they're efficient. They're cool.
Which bike is where it's at, Paul? Is it the CV, the Racer?
I think the CV or the Race. I think they all have their own advantages. This is one of those rare cases where I think that like CIG really did a good job because the CV gives you cargo space. So if you want some light cargo for exploration, it's kind of like an explorer and a cargo hauler.
Yep.
So if like you needed to land somewhere, because I think it's like 1 SCU of cargo it can carry.
Yep.
And then the RC is just racing for speed, and who doesn't want to race their motorcycles? And the TR has guns. So if you want to have like a speedy scout that's going to skirmish and then run away or hit and run, it's good. So,
Loken, yourself, where do you think it's at for the Ranger?
I mean, I like them. I really do. I need to actually grab myself one at some point. Not because it's a value proposition, just because I think they're cool. It's again, if you choose to buy a Ranger or a vehicle, then you are doing it as you say because you support the game and you just really like it. It's not actually a sensible decision. It's just it's cool.
It's not going to be value proposition,
and they're bloody cool. You know,
at that cheap price, they're going to be at most like the same price as the Cyclone, probably cheaper. So we're probably looking at like 10K, like a joke. It's going to be a joke, the price of these things.
I really would have loved to have seen the CV and TR in the same variant, and it would have been a really good ground vehicle because as soon as you put it next to the Dragonfly does the cargo and it does the guns and it hovers and it just kills this bike for me. But yes, the ground bike thing is kind of where it's at, and it's going to have the dust trails and all that type of stuff, and the sliding.
It'll have the lower signatures, because like the Dragonfly is hovering, so it has higher EM signatures.
The
and stuff
physicality
like that,
of actually feeling the terrain as well, I think, is going to be the real appeal. Like the Cyclone when it goes across the train, opposed to hovering like on a bike. But yeah, as you said, this is rule of cool. If you're buying this, I can pass on it. Again, because it's just so cheap to do. You do a couple of missions, you can buy one in game. So, but again, if you're buying one, you are supporting the game. But yeah. All right, on to the highlights of today. So we have the Storm and what's that one? No, we're going round full circle. We've got 2 left to go. So we've got the Storm and Storm AA. Later on today, me and Paul will be doing a buyer's guide on this one, going into more detail. For me, it just falls into that it's a vehicle fighting game. I'll let you guys say your piece on it. So who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Logan.
Oh, he's muted. You're muted, mate.
Oh, he's muted.
Sorry, there we go.
That's all
Apologies
good.
about that. Yeah, I'll give my 10 pence. Lots of people know that I actually vehemently dislike the Storm. I just like it because of its design language. I think that this is an absolute apex of Star Citizen CIG's, like their guys go and do the rule of cool. It's
Yeah.
actually ludicrously designed. Let me just, I'll cliff notes it for you, okay?
Yep.
Entering and exiting an armored vehicle from the front of the vehicle where it's going to be pointed directly at fire is a mistake as far as I'm concerned. That is extremely dangerous for the occupant and easy to damage. It's too wide, so it can't fit in several vehicles. It's too heavy. It's slower than the Nova. It is also extremely fragile. I've
Wait.
been testing.
Is it slower than? No
It's
way.
slower than the Nova.
No
Yes,
way.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's probably a mistake, but yeah, right now it's slower than the Nova. So
yeah, it'll allow to accelerate a Nova for a bit, but the Nova will then take over in overall speed. Nova's bloody quick.
Okay.
It's extremely fragile too. All of the important components are housed inside the outer track units, and so one shot into that area and you're disabling a damned thing. So I don't like the Storm. I like the Storm AA though. So I'll go into that when we look at the Storm AA.
Yeah, cool. I don't disagree with the components because it's got components at the back and on all 4 arm junctions. So it's literally, you've only got to take out one component, like you said, and the whole thing falls apart. I'm just addressing the notes you pointed out. I originally thought this was like the Batman tumbler and you were going to get in from the top. Would have been so much cooler. Can you imagine if that somehow opened or either way opened and you got in? Would have been way cooler. But yeah, I think you nailed it on the head. It is definitely really cool, and it's not a light tank; it's a medium tank at best. And a lot of the military guys I've spoke to have said that. I know they did the same to you, Paul.
Yeah. No. It's a weird position because and I know I've talked with CIG ship designers, and one of the things that CIG ship designers are pretty consistent about is they don't care about what about modern military and military applications because they're making a space game. Like they're going to go with cool stuff. But in this case, it's more of a not necessarily a situation of modern military applications. It's more of gameplay.
Yeah. Because
as Logan pointed out, you enter and exit from the front. If I'm playing a game, I'm going to have to basically either if I'm going to get shot at, I either have to turn my vehicle around so that I can get out in combat. If say this gets disabled somehow, say the tracks get knocked out, I'm going to have to, if the tracks get knocked out, I'm screwed. I have to get out. Now I'm going to be pointing towards the enemy. Or if I feel like I'm going to be like damaged or something, say my shields get knocked out, I have to turn my vehicle around, telling everyone in the game, hey, he's getting out of his vehicle. Let's flank him around the side. Yeah. So I have to telegraph my movements. And then on top of that, by doing so, I'm exposing my component bay to the fire, so it'll get even more damage. Yeah. Like it's the way it's designed is cool looking, but in terms of gameplay, it's just going to get you killed. And when you have the option of taking this size 3, bespoke size 3, but size 3 gun versus the size 5 gun and the size 2 or 3 repeaters and the missiles of the Nova, it's like, I'm taking the Nova. Like, yeah, it's more expensive, but not that much.
Once you get in game, it isn't.
Yeah.
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 I think the only... Go ahead.
Yeah, it just like I said, well, it's soloable. So is the Nova. It's like unless you hard lock the Nova out of being able to be soloable, then which they might because they want to force people to use the Storm. Then it's like this is a ship that has their vehicle has no purpose other than maybe an NPC vehicle where like you could use them for fighting, but like this thing's gonna get like stomped on by man portable railguns. Like this thing's gonna die in like 3 hits with a railgun.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Looks more like a Scorpion tank than a Storm.
Oh yeah, from Halo.
A personal thing for me was when they called it a Storm, I honestly thought I was hoping and praying that gun was like a lightning gun. Like, like a bolt gun would have been mad. Shoots actual arcs of lightning out, disables whatever it hits as it flies by, and does damage. Kind of a little bit like those, what were they called in game? The ones that do distortion and damage at the same time. That would have been really cool. But it's like actually
Neutron.
But it it does like arc arcs of lightning or something like that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe a variant down the road. And I do think this is built for variants. If you've seen it, the way it works is you essentially take the top off, and there are two pieces that are modular. And so when you get over to the Storm AA, which we can start talking about now, I guess, is it's more at the back, and you can see that obviously now the front's been, the front part's changed. So yeah. Loken, you wanted to talk about this one? Go nuts.
I did, yeah. So the Storm AA is an interesting one for me because it takes all of the problems that I just addressed and kind of makes them irrelevant. The reason for it is that its role on the field is going to be completely different. It's going to be a second line vehicle that stays behind the main armored advance of whatever, troops and resources you have out in the field. And so it doesn't need to take direct fire. It just needs to be fast and easy to maneuver from one place to the next. And it has so many bloody missiles. Holy moly. Like, seriously.
64 size 1 missiles. I think the Constellation is the only vehicle that has more missiles than the Storm AA.
So it suddenly becomes a relatively decent second line vehicle. And it has also still got that rule of cool. Because it is a cool. I mean, I can't deny the cool factor of this Storm. I've never denied it. I've always moaned about its utility. This is a far more utility-based vehicle for me. I think it's more useful.
I'm interested to see it in game for the first time and see if it actually does fold down and actually look like a Batman tumbler too. I think that might be where it's at. So again, me and Paul will do a buyer's guide on that later today and get that out to you as well. So yeah. All right, well, that's kind of it for that for today. So let's move on to the less fun things. We've got the Warbond upgrade for today. We've got a Mercury Star Runner that saves $20, and the closest ship to that is Agrid's favorite, the Cutlass Steel. So for $5, you can get a $20 saving, which is pretty good. Right, then we move on to skins. Tumbril skins, I think the Batman one, the black one, is where it's at there. Unless you think different. The only one that we don't have here, obviously, that we'll have a look at when we get in game is the Concierge one. Is there anything you guys want to say about that, or your opinions?
Nah, it looks great. I mean, it looks so good. It's very sharp looking. Very sharp.
We've also got some new spirit skins. For me personally, I think it's the blue one is where it's at. The banana yellow, I'm a bit, I don't know. It's a little bit Drake for me. I think. Oh, there's your school bus, Paul.
There you go.
I just realized your E1 school bus, that would work for the high end executive kids. And then
I think it's supposed to be gold, but it's banana yellow.
And this is like the original concept one, wasn't it, Paul?
Yes.
Instead of blue, you got the red. So yeah,
I'm glad they made that available to everyone. Yeah. I'm really glad.
Yeah, I actually prefer it over the blue personally. But
that's why.
Yeah, nothing really, but that's it. No other new skins and stuff. So I think we can kind of wrap it up there, boys. An interesting lineup to see an actual new thing from both the Crusader and Tumbril on the same day. And the interesting thing is, traditionally, these have been manufacturers with other manufacturers, so they are growing and getting pushed into a smaller group. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. And thank you to everyone at the end of the video that went extra mile on Patreon. Loken, can you let people know where they can find you on the interwebs, please, bud?
Yeah, of course. So you can find me at twitch.tv/LokenPlays. I'm there 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and playing predominantly Star Citizen. I also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/LokenPlays or @LokenPlays. And I'm on Twitter as well. Same handle, @LokenPlays. So you'll find me everywhere.
Cool. All right. And same for you, please, Paul.
You can find me mostly Star Citizen, like Loken. You'll find me and Loken soon playing our co-op games together, doing various things together on Wednesdays. But you can find me at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub live, and if you want lore stuff, youtube.com/theastrohistorian. So
cool. He's been Loken. He's been Astropub. I've been Execute. Catch you next one.